Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome back to the Everyday Athlete Show. Yusra and I are your hosts, and today we're going to be talking about the types of hunger because not all hunger is the same, and not all hunger stems from the same thing either. And how we're going to counteract that is going to be different based off of why you're actually feeling what you're feeling, inshallah. Khair. I'm excited about this episode. How are you feeling about it, Yusra?
I am. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. And I think this is a really important one because a lot of people eat and sometimes they don't know why they're eating. I get so many people come to me, it's like, I just can't control myself. I can't stop eating. So clearly, if you can't stop eating, then that doesn't have anything to do with your body's need for energy. I mean, we're going to talk about that anyway. So there's so many underlying reasons there around why people eat. So I think understanding them and getting curious about why you eat could be really important.
No, 100%. This is definitely a big thing that I see as well with my athletes saying, you know what, Kendra, I don't know, but I'm just eating. And it's like, I feel like I should be eating. Like, I haven't eaten in 2 hours, so I feel like I should be. And, I don't know what's going to happen after, or I don't know if I'm still going to have this food later. So they fall into this habit of exactly that, this habit of eating just because they're supposed to be eating. I'm
Yeah.
supposed to be doing this. Maybe I
I'm
should be.
supposed to have breakfast. I
Yeah.
have to.
Yeah, I don't know. So,
Totally.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, inshallah. We'll start off with the different types of hunger. And the first one will kick us off is physical hunger.
Yeah. I think what would be also interesting is to kind of define what hunger is. Do you know what I mean? Like
Good idea.
again, hunger is this need. It's the physiological need for energy. We all know this, but explaining always helps. So when you get hungry, stomach starts to feel a certain way. You have a certain reduction in energy. You feel tired. Like when you're hungry. There's this empty feeling in your stomach. Right now, there's also another thing that's important to know, which is appetite. Hunger and appetite are connected, but they're not the same thing. Hunger is, like I said, the physiological need to eat because, hey, your body's going, I need energy around here, right? While appetite is the psychological want to eat, and it's usually triggered by smells and sights and environments and situations. So sometimes you may not be hungry, you don't need energy, but you're checking out the slice of cake and it's calling you. It's like, yeah, come here, baby, diet, right? So again, just understanding that the two that you don't have to be hungry to have an appetite.
No, 100%, definitely. And that's the thing too with like weddings or when you pass by the bakery and it smells really good. Just 5 minutes before you were perfectly fine. You just had breakfast, you just had lunch, and you're perfectly fine. Then you pass the bakery and you smell all of the good smells, and you're like, oh, maybe let me just pop in real quick and see if there's anything good.
And I think this is why a lot of people struggle with eating as well, because food is so much more than calories. And we've spoken about that before. Food is emotions, is memories, is love, is how people show love, is communities coming together and all of those things. So when someone says, I have a meal plan, but I can't stick with it, of course you can't, because plan takes away the human experience of eating. You know what I mean? And it's why the whole idea around just because you should eat a certain way, it doesn't mean you're going to be able to eat a certain way.
Yeah,
Right? Because so
100%.
many things tied up to our eating and things like that.
Yeah, exactly. And I know that we could talk about why we both don't do meal
Oh,
plans
girl.
forever. If
All
you're
right.
listening to this, you're probably like, wait, what the heck? You guys don't do meal plans? And how am I gonna know what I should be eating?
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
and you know what? I think that could be an episode for another day on why meal plans fail busy women, especially Muslim women, and why they're just not sustainable, subhanAllah.
Yeah. So let's hit it off. The first type of hunger. Take us away, Kendra.
Yeah, you see, the first type of hunger is really like the physical hunger. So that's when maybe you skipped lunch and you feel like that rumbling in your stomach, right? You're fatigued, you're feeling a bit irritable because you haven't eaten. It's when your body not is low on fuel, right? Like you feel like you're running on empty. Right. This is like a physical hunger where yes, you absolutely need to go and eat. This is the kind of hunger that you might feel, by 2 or 3 p.m. when you're fasting during Ramadan. I know I feel it. and then and then suddenly my husband's walking too heavy and suddenly
You're hangry.
I'm starting to get hangry, and that is kind of like that physical hunger, inshallah, when your stomach starts to sing at you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then obviously we have psychological hunger, which is a much deeper type of hunger. And we can kind of like divide psychological hunger into two. You have emotional hunger and hedonic hunger. Emotional hunger, this is where we eat in response to our emotions. A lot of people assume that people eat only when they're stressed. Actually, no. You can use food to cope with stress, but also to cope with sadness, to cope with boredom, to cope with happiness. How many of us are happy? It's like, yes, I deserve the cake just because I'm feeling happy right now.
Mm.
Right. So, and people don't realize that. So, emotional hunger is the type of eating that you engage in as a response to an emotion. Right. And then the second psychological type of hunger is hedonic hunger. Hedonic hunger is more tied to reward, right? I remember it's like, oh, I'm at a wedding, I'm going to eat cake, right? I mean, just because other people are eating cake at a wedding, it doesn't mean you have to, but you do it because again, it's almost like routine,
Mm.
right? I'm at a wedding, I'm gonna chill, I'm gonna relax, I'm gonna have my cake and this and that, right? So hedonic hunger is more tied into to reward. And if we look at all these three types of hunger, physiological and then emotional and the hedonic hunger, all of these are habitual. They're habits. But what's driving that habit is different. Do you
Yeah.
know what I mean? So if we look at physiological hunger, it's more conditional. It's more tied to the eating times that you're used to. Again, the human body is amazing. So example, 9 a.m. in the morning, you wake up because you're someone who eats breakfast, right? Time that you normally eat breakfast is the time when you're naturally going to start feeling hungry. Those hormones or ghrelin is going to rise, going, hey, Kiandra, we're used to eating this time. So come on, you're hungry now, go eat, right? So your body is letting you know, okay, it's time to eat now. So you're eating, you're feeling good. We're going to talk about the habit loop a little bit just so people understand a bit better, right? And then you have emotional hunger and hedonic hunger. These are more driven by, again, emotions, reward, and stuff like that. Do you want to talk to us about the habit loop, Kendra, and how that works?
Yeah, no, the habit loop really goes into explaining why we eat when we're not actually hungry, right? So why we're engaging in doing certain things, even when we might not even realize it. We might just be, oh, well, I think I should be doing this, or this is what I need to be doing right now, or this is what I usually do. And it has three parts, right? We go from the cue. Now, whatever that may be, maybe it's like you were mentioning, I eat at 9 a.m., so it could be the time of day. It could be I'm at a wedding. It could be I had a stressful event. It could be any of this stuff. It's Maghrib time, so it's Ramadan. It's Maghrib time, so I need to go eat. Right? Whatever this cue is that is telling you that we need to be taking a certain action. Right? And now, in this case, specifically when we're talking about eating, okay, the action is, okay, I need to go and eat. I need to go and have the cake at the wedding. I need to go and I'm thinking of the bakery because I passed the bakery this morning and it smelled so good. So I'm like still thinking of it. Um, I'm passing the bakery and I'm like, oh, okay, yes, like I should be going and getting that croissant or getting that, little pastry that they have there.
Yeah.
It could be just because it's 9 a.m. So I need to go and have I'm thinking of myself again, my breakfast burrito. I need to go and engage in this specific action. Why? To be able to have a specific reward, which is the third part of the habit loop, right? To feel good, to feel satisfied, to be able to move on to the next point of our day, to overcome whatever hurdle if we're stressed out, to be able to help us recover and overcome some hurdle that we've been experiencing throughout the day, right? So that is the habit loop, which is the cue and the action and the reward that we're hoping to get out of food and to get out of especially whatever type of hunger that we're engaging in or that we're experiencing in the moment.
Yeah. So, example, if we were going to kind of have a look at physiological hunger, in your case, would be the time of the morning,
Yeah.
or after the game. After the game, you're
Oh
hungry,
my gosh.
right? Right. But if we kind of swap now to
Yeah.
emotional hunger, majority of the time we say people eat in response to emotions. The cue could be stress. It could be actually the cue could be external, but it could also be internal. Internal is very much around what I'm thinking,
Mm,
believe about myself,
mm,
right? What language do I have internally? If that language is going to make me feel negative in some way, I don't like this feeling about myself, I'm going to eat my feelings away. So the cue is that internal belief about myself, the language, or it could be external stress, it could be work deadlines or whatever that is. It could even be the kids are in bed. Do you know what I mean? That could be a cue. Literally, the kids are in bed. So that cue, that's the trigger. The routine, which is the middle part. Okay, what action is it? What do I do when I'm stressed? Or what do I do when I feel anxious or angry or upset or whatever that is, or bored,
Mm.
right? I eat. Why do I eat? Because it gives me relief, even for a moment, even if I know I'm going to regret it massively later on, because it's going to give me relief for a moment, I'm going to do it anyway, because this is the only way I know how to deal with the cue,
Yeah.
is to eat, right? So, and if you think about hedonic hunger, it could be the wedding. That's a good example. I'm at a wedding. That's the cue. What do people do at weddings? They eat, right? They eat cake and buffets and all of these things. Why? The reward of being together, of the environment, the joy, and all of these things, right? So again, we spoke about this before, and I'm going to say this again. Using food as a coping mechanism is not a negative thing. Cultures have done it for thousands of years. Why? Because food is emotions. Food is happiness, is how we show love, is all of these things. Problem is when it's the only way that we know how to handle emotions.
Yeah.
So if every time I'm stressed or I'm bored, I'm sad, I'm reaching out for food. Every time I'm happy or I want to reward myself is food. Every time I'm at a wedding, I can't stop myself, eat, then it becomes problematic, because now I only have one way to cope with life.
100%. And I think that this also begins in our childhood,
Oh,
right? Because
absolutely.
you might be listening to this and thinking, okay, well, yeah, that's me. Like what you sure just said, like that's exactly me. But where is this coming from? Like, why is it that I do this and not Fatima, this fictionary Fatima character that
Fatima
we
is
have?
back. Habibti Fatima, she's
Yeah.
back.
Honestly, yeah. Why does Fatima perfectly fine? Why does Fatima reach for apples and cucumbers and celery, and I go for the sugary drinks and all of this? And it happens a lot where, when we're in our childhood when, okay, you're throwing a tantrum here. Just have this chocolate, you'll feel better. Okay, we're gonna go, and I mean, this happened for me a lot. It was, okay, this is a big treat. We're gonna be able to go and do this. We don't get to do this often, so go ahead and go crazy, right? Or, okay, yes, you've had a really rough day. Let's go out and let's go have some ice cream, or let's go out and let's
I
go.
remember. I remember we weren't allowed sodas a lot, right?
Mhm.
But when we got sick, it'd be, yes, I get to have a soda whenever I want to.
And subhanAllah, and that's where it comes to also like we're I don't want to say demonizing food, but we're labeling certain foods, right?
Yeah.
And we're putting them in categories so that these specific foods that we're not allowed to have. I know for me, and this is why I literally gained 15 pounds in like 6 months when I first left home. And I moved to America, and I went to America at like 16 or 17 because all of the foods that I wasn't allowed to have. Now, suddenly, I could walk down to the corner store and get it myself, and I could go here and I can go grab myself. And, subhanAllah, like because we're not allowing ourselves to have these certain bad foods. The second that, I mean, again, this is my example as when I was younger, but for everyone, like when you're in your adulthood, you have, big girl money and you're able to go out and do all these things. Now suddenly it's like, okay, well, I can go and do these. This is fun things, right? These are treats. Like every day I want to go for a treat. And for those, whatever who love to doom scroll, right? This trend of getting a sweet treat every time you go out, where when you go to the mall, always getting something. Even if you're not hungry, even if you don't necessarily want to have it, you feel like you should be. You feel like it's part of the experience, that it's like a must have for the experience to be good overall, right?
But even if we talk about children at a young age, they go to school, right? And they're going to eat whatever they want. So whatever they're not allowed at home, they're going to binge on it in school. They're going to hide it from their parents. You're going to have like wrappers under the bed and stuff
Mm.
like that. And this is why in a household, and I talk about this all the time, it's so important to have a healthy language around. You want your children to be able to see a cookie just as a cookie.
Yeah.
I can either take it or leave it. I can
Mm.
have it or not have it. I want a soda, I can have it. I can have a soda, or I choose not to have a soda. It comes from them seeing how you eat. Like we have stuff in the fridge. We have like sodas and cookies and stuff like that. But my kids, alhamdulillah, they don't eat them every day. They don't feel this need to eat them. They know if they want them, They learn this ability to balance everything. They like their fruits, they like their cakes, it's about this holistic relationship with food where you're not allowing anyone food to have power over you because you haven't demonized it. The problem is the labels, right? I have to eat clean. What does that even mean? Like scientifically, there is no definition of what clean eating is. There isn't in research. So if we tell our kids no, 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 without actually teaching them the foundations, they're gonna go out there and do it. They're like, you know what, I can't do it at home. I'm gonna do all that I can outside home. And this is where we see kids when they're out of home, khalas, it's just the chips and the crisps and the sodas and chocolates, because they know when they get home, it's known, it's restriction, 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 and restriction. And as parents, we think we are doing an amazing job. Well, no, we're not. We're really not. Because then these adaptations, as kids, the kids are active, they can burn that off. But then we take that habit, we take it into adulthood now when real life happens.
Real stress
When
and real
like
responsibilities.
it is, right? And how do we know how to cope with this? The cakes and the cookies and the chocolates, because we literally do not know any other way to do it.
Mhm.
Because
100%.
we weren't taught how to do it.
Exactly. And I think that, being able to learn how to deal with your different types of hunger is going to pretty much make or break your fat loss journey.
Yeah.
It's gonna make or break your fitness journey. Not to be dramatic, okay? Not to be dramatic, but it's one of the biggest components of it because when you're in a fat loss stage, and this is gonna be our next episode, but when you're in a fat loss stage, like you're in a deficit of energy. Like you're going to feel hungry. Like
Yeah.
it's gonna happen, but we have to understand like once that happens, like how are we gonna deal with it? How are we gonna cope? How are we gonna move on? Right? Because ultimately, like if you are in a fat loss stage, like your goal is to lose fat. That is what you want to achieve. That
Yeah.
that is something that you're sacrificing for in the moment, right?
Yeah. And also another mistake that I see is someone who emotionally eats, then they want to lose weight because they're consuming too many calories as a means to deal with their emotions. Then what do they do to lose weight? They go on a diet. So
Yeah.
now you already have this poor relationship with food, right? You're already categorizing food as, I can't have cakes and cookies and stuff. And then when you're emotionally heightened, those are the foods you want to eat. Now you're going on a diet that will have even more restrictions. It literally makes emotional eating worse. If you're an emotional eater, going on a diet is possibly the worst thing that you could do. First, your relationship with food, so that a cookie is just a cookie, a cake is just a cake. You have the ability to either eat it or leave it. Once you do that, go on the fancy diets because you're good. You have the grounding that's going to ground you. Because people don't understand this, what we see is they're going to restrict because they've gained weight and all of these things. Restrict. Life is going to happen.
Yeah.
Going to be emotionally triggered in some way. They go to the other end where they binge.
Yeah.
Now, like, oh my God, I've eaten too much. Guess where they're going next? Back to restricting again.
Yeah. And it's a never ending cycle.
It's a never ending cycle.
Yeah.
Never ending cycle. This is why I say start, stop, start that, stop that, because they don't understand that grounding is not there. That relationship with food is not there.
And the worst part too with that is they start to believe, and I see this time and time again, that something's wrong with them.
Yeah.
Like they're the problem. It's just I'm not this
Willpower.
I don't have willpower. Like, I'm not a good enough person. And then they'll say, "Oh, well, this person, Fatima again. Fatima is so great because she has so much more willpower. And because she has the willpower that I don't have, she's going to be successful, right?" And we kind of get into that, fixed mindset about our actual abilities of being able to lose the weight and being able to curate a better and healthier relationship with food, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think part of emotional eating, I think there's an experience that we spoke about a few days ago, is the fear of being hungry as well.
Yes.
Why are we so scared of hunger?
Mm.
Right? Because again, what meaning are we attaching to hunger? And I use this example a lot because it's key. Like subhanallah, in Ramadan in the UK, at some point we fasted for 18 to 20 hours.
Yeah.
And we're fine because not eating was attached to, it was intentional. It was purposeful. We had a reason of why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? And we did it. But on the non-fasting days, we can't even stay a couple of hours without eating. And this fear of, I can't be hungry, I can't be hungry. Why? Because again, we see hunger as a dangerous thing. I shouldn't feel hungry. Why shouldn't you feel hungry? Like you ate an hour ago. If you ate well, clearly what you're feeling right now isn't the physiological hunger, it's something else. So instead of being so scared of it, what would it look like if you got curious about what it is you're feeling? Okay? Because a lot of the times we eat as a distraction as well,
Yep.
right?
Mindlessly eating, right? It's like thinking, "Oh, I'm just gonna have a couple chips in front of the TV," and then next thing you know, you see the bottom of the bag,
Yeah, the bottom of the
right?
bag.
And it's funny that you bring that up too about hunger because this is what happens with athletes. Because we are kind of taught to fear hunger in a way. Because if you're feeling hungry, it could be a sign of underfueling. And if you're underfueling, then that means you're not going to have the energy or you're not going to have the stamina or the recovery to be able to deal with all the physical strain that you're putting on your body. So we see this a lot with athletes that after they retire, they still haven't rethought the way they look at hunger and the way they look at their food, so they fear being hungry. They still have that ingrained in them, and a lot of athletes put on a lot of weight
So
after they
interesting.
retire.
I never thought about it that again, it's habitual.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
That's exactly what I was thinking too when you said that. I was like, "Huh," because I know that people would talk about this a lot, with athletes that retire that they gain a lot of weight, and now that you were saying that, I'm like, I bet you that this is a big
yeah,
thing too,
yeah.
right? Because you're again, I mean, yes, of course, you the habits in terms of the portion size that you're eating, maybe the amount of cardio that you're doing can offset a lot of the I wouldn't say binging, but just like eating lots and lots of food in a small sitting and the going out multiple times, like, you can almost get away with it when you're practicing for 4 or 5 hours a day, right?
And also then this could also relate to when people exercise and they stop and they're saying, my muscle has turned into fat. No, it hasn't. It has not. Muscle does not turn into fat. What's happening is when you are exercising and active, you had a high caloric expenditure, right?
Mhm.
So your eating was fine. But now you're not as active, you're not expending as much energy, but you're eating the same amount. So you're literally gaining fat. So it's not your muscle that's turning into fat. It's literally you overeating because while you changed your expenditure, you haven't changed your habitual intake.
No, no, 100%. Yeah, subhanallah. Subhanallah, it's, anyways, we could go on and on with stuff like this forever.
So how do we stop fearing hunger then? How does one do that?
Stopping fearing hunger is stopping to fear hunger. One is, really comes down to I think the biggest thing is reframing the way we look at hunger. So I think that inshallah, if you haven't really thought about anything when it comes to hunger and you're watching this right now, maybe you're already starting to reframe the way that you look at hunger. Maybe you're already starting to think, okay, why you're starting to get curious on, okay, why am I worried about being a little bit hungry on my way home from work. Like, I'm gonna get home anyways, I'm gonna end up making my dinner. Like, why am I worried that I'm feeling hungry right now? Why am I pulling off the highway and getting something quick to time me over till I get home,
Yeah.
right? So, reframing the way we look at hunger, instead of something that needs to be addressed immediately to something that is just a physiological response of just not of having as much food or have
Yeah.
going a little bit longer, in between your meals. I
Yeah.
think that's the one of the bigger things. Another would be, and I'll let you take it from after this, is to notice what type of hunger you're actually experiencing. Identifying it. Again, like this is really comes down to this idea of getting curious about, okay, why am I feeling this way? Why am I thinking this? And why am I falling into this habit loop? I mean,
Yeah.
identifying the habit loops, right? And then asking yourself, okay, why am I doing this? So what kind of hunger am I feeling right now? For me this morning outside the bakery after I already had my breakfast. It's like, why am I feeling hungry again? Why do I have this urge to go and want to eat? Okay, because I'm smelling the fresh bread from the bakery. Okay, that doesn't mean that I need to go in and have some of the sweets that they're offering that look delicious, right?
Yeah.
I don't need to have that right now, right? Noticing, pausing, asking yourself, and just getting curious about what type of hunger you're experiencing, and then asking yourself, what different action can I take that's still going to get me the same reward? All right. So if we're talking about stress eating, for example. Okay, I'm stressed out of my mind. Is really eating half the cake going to cure your stress? If
Yeah.
in fact, and again, this is coming from someone who literally would eat half a cake when they were stressed. So no, and I'm going to tell you no because I felt like crap during the eating of the cake. I felt bad. after eating the cake, I couldn't sleep well, and then I
Because
wouldn't recover properly.
a lot of the time when you're eating, you're not even tasting the cake. You're
No.
literally
Yeah.
inhaling it, sir. Because this need to just kind of just eat really quickly as well.
No, exactly, exactly. So this action that we're taking isn't bringing us closer to our goals. It's actually bringing us further away from them and isn't even giving us the reward that we're actually seeking. So thinking, okay, so what action can I take after I feel this cue? Remember back to our habit loop of cue, action, reward. What different action can I take that's going to have me feeling the way and getting the reward that I want?
Yeah. And that could be making a dua, journaling, surfing the urge where you just sit with the cravings, whatever
Mm,
that is, but it's a craving, sit with it, it will pass. Do you know
mm,
what I mean? And also when you mentioned about observing and getting curious, get curious without judgment. See yourself as an external observer. Go, it's interesting that this is why I'm eating. I didn't realize that. But like get curious, allow yourself to explore without the shame and the judgment. The third thing that I would add is it's not going to be 100% perfect all the time. It's not supposed to be. Remember, the habits that you've built right now are the habits that you've built over the years up to now. So
mhm.
don't expect to change them overnight
Yeah.
either. You know what I mean? So what you can do is when you're noticing the hunger, right? Don't tell yourself, I'm hungry. I shouldn't eat. I shouldn't eat. No, no, no. Because that's going to cause that psychological reaction. You're going to want to eat even more. Go like, okay, I'm just going to sit with it for five to 10 minutes. And then if I still want to eat, then I'm going to eat then. What you're doing there is you're pausing while still allowing yourself the choice to eat later if you want to without saying, I can't eat. Because again, when
Mhm.
we say we can't do something, that language is so important, it makes us
Yes.
want to do it even more,
Mm,
right? So allow yourself the time to learn, to adapt, to explore, building awareness. You can't change what you don't know needs changing. You can't control what you don't know needs controlling.
yeah,
So the first step is always going to be building awareness around your habits, your language, why you do the things that you do in a way that you do them.
yeah. No, 100%. It's so funny. I was kind of like laughing in my head. I coach these young girls team, these a couple young girls teams in the evening sometimes, and I it drives me crazy. Whatever. Some people say I'm a strict coach, but it drives me crazy when they lean on when I'm talking and they're leaning on these like there's around the court there's this like black like metal frame almost, and honestly I'm worried about them because it is sharp, and if you hit it too hard you can cut yourself. So I'm always telling them like come off of it, like, stop leaning on it, okay? So I told one girl on Monday to stop leaning on it. I turn around, there's 4 of them leaning on it. I just told you not to do that. So you see, when you tell someone to not do something or you're not allowed they probably didn't even care about leaning on the black thing until I told them not to lean on the black thing, right? So, spend a lot same thing comes with food. If we say we're not allowed, "I can't have this. I'm not allowed to have this. My coach won't let me have this." We're gonna think about even more. And next thing you know, you're gonna eat instead of 1 cookie, you're gonna have 5.
Or example, someone is starting a diet on Monday.
Mm.
Today's
Oh,
Thursday. They're gonna eat everything they think they're not gonna eat on that diet that they shouldn't eat.
yes.
Gonna overeat it within those 4 days because
Mhm.
the diet starts on Monday. Like again, it's psychology. I just wish people understood that you have unconditional permission to eat anything you want. Just not everything. And the only way to get there is to first build a healthy relationship with food. That's it. I have athletes in my program who came with emotional eating challenges and stuff. And mashallah, they sorted it out. Alhamdulillah, amazing relationship with food. And now they can go on a diet and off a diet and change the weight however they want to. It's easy. They know what to
No.
do because that attachment with the food is gone. So now a cake is just a cake, right? If I want to lose 4 kilos for the wedding, I don't have a problem with people doing that because I know after they lose it, they know how to keep it off if they want to. They know how to continue their normal lives without restriction, right? But you can't have that control over your body weight if you don't first have a healthy relationship with food. It's never going to happen.
Yeah, 100%. And that's why, the relationship with food is so incredibly, important. And again, this is the last thing I'm gonna say, but, we think of bodybuilders.
Yeah.
Think of bodybuilders, like some of the most, if you wanna say, disciplined with food, have some of the worst relationships with food.
eating disorders all over the place.
over the
Yeah.
place.
Yeah.
Right? But wrestlers, boxers, but masked under the guise of sports, really, right? And just
Yeah.
part of the culture. Again, like the relationship with food really is step one. And then, like you said, you can go into playing around with how much weight you want to lose, how fast,
It becomes easy.
diets.
Like I can
Yeah.
choose to lose 3 kilos in the next month if I want to, because it's just easy to do, and it's only easy because of how I see food and the meaning I attach to food. And my athletes can do the same.
Yeah.
You know.
Inshallah khair. I hope you all learned something and are getting a bit more curious by the end of this video.
What are the 3 takeaways that we want them to take away, Kendra? What are the 3 things to summarize this, you reckon?
I'm gonna go with one. My biggest one that I really want everyone who's listening to take away is that they're leaving this video thinking and being more curious about why they're eating and what kind of hunger they're actually experiencing. I think that once you create, I don't think science, like once you create more awareness around why you're eating or when or what habits that you're falling into when it comes to your eating habits, when it comes to your eating habits, right? Is when you can actually start to become like a researcher in your own life and instead of being upset with yourself for eating too much, like you can kind of remove yourself from the equation, remove your emotions from the equation, and just look at it objectively and say, okay, so I'm noticing that I eat more or I will, binge on certain foods when X, Y, or Z happens in my day. Okay, cool. Where can I go from here? That's the biggest thing that I think I really want people to be able to leave this conversation with today is just being a bit more curious on and creating a bit more awareness around the hunger that they're experiencing and the actions that they're taking because of it.
Yeah. What I would say for myself is make peace with the journey. You have to give yourself time to adjust, right? Because again, as much as you build these habits, you can rewire your brain, you can change them to serve you, right? And here's the thing, they don't have to go away 100%. No, I comfort eat all the time because I'm human. Like I said, it's not about not comfort eating at all. The
Yeah.
problem is being the only way you know how to cope with life. Sometimes I just want soup on the so I know what my athletes laugh all the time. My idea of a comfort eating is a big salad and a soup and stuff like that. But that's me. Do you know what I mean? All I want is a soup, right? Like that's your eating. I'm like, yes. Because again, I enjoy those things. I enjoy those things because this is what I eat often and stuff like that. That's a whole different conversation. The fact that we crave what we eat a lot of. Again, adapting, right? So make peace with the journey. Understand that, okay, you have these habits all your life up to now. Give yourself room. It's not going to be perfect all the time. It is not supposed to be perfect all the time. The more you judge and shame yourself in the process, the harder it's going to feel. Don't fight it. Be an explorer, like Kendra said. Get curious. It's going to be, today you're going to say no to the cookie. Tomorrow you can't say no, you're going to eat it. Khalas, great. But just the most important habit is give yourself that time to respond between the feelings, the stimulus, whether internal, whether external, before you react. Breathe. What do I want to do here? Just the pause, just a second pause. The moment pause can literally change the course of action that you take. But we are so reactive, right? Just
Mhm.
pause, think, okay, what do I want now? What can I do now? Like you said, what am I feeling? Why do I want this? Just explore, right? And the more you do that, the more reps under the bar you build, the easier it becomes to do.
Mhm.
And then it just becomes what you do.
Yeah.
Right. And the third thing I'm going to take on the third thing here is understanding that changing emotional eating, habitual emotional eating is really hard to do it on your own.
Yes.
Because the perceptions that you have are yours and they are based on your experiences. And the example that I like to use is if I give you red glasses and I ask you to look at the room, everything is going to look red because that's the filter you're looking through the room with, right? So our perceptions come from our experiences of life, what we think, what we believe, and things like this. And because emotional eating is so attached to us, to our identity, to how we think, how we feel, it becomes really hard to change on your own. Not impossible, but hard. So if you've tried it, and you're still struggling, please get support, because the longer you leave the habit, the harder it becomes to break,
Yeah, 100%.
right? So
Yeah.
that's the third thing that I want people, like, you're not incapable, you're not broken just because you can't do it on your own. It's literally one of the hardest things for people to do because it's so close to us. We believe our thoughts because they're ours. We believe our feelings because they're ours, because they're our lives.
Yeah.
But you somebody else's perception to say, actually, is that true, what you're thinking? Do you have any evidence for that? Do you know what I mean? Someone to challenge your thinking, because it's really hard for us to challenge our own because we so easily believe our stories. When you have somebody else, they're helping you challenge that. Then you start to see things, the blind spots that you didn't see before. I bet you so many people emotionally eat and they don't even realize they emotionally eat. So many, because it's just a part of life,
Mm.
right?
Yeah. SubhanAllah. Percent. 100%. And I think that inshallah, we're gonna have some more episodes, inshallah, coming for you guys on how a bit more deeper, right? On how to deal with the certain types of hunger.
So much coming your way.
Yes, inshallah.
Episodes a bit short, like we said, half an hour. Can't, I don't know how long we've been going on for, but we're trying to, because the episodes are heavy, and we don't want them to just like binge watch them. Try to take every episode that you hear, try to act on it. Do you know what I mean? See where you can use that information and apply it, inshallah. And then, yeah, inshallah, we'll be able to bring a lot more gems your way.
Inshallah khair. But until next time, everyone, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.